Now this is the easiest brownie recipe you're ever going to learn, but it's also one of the best. It's that ooey gooey kind of brownie, that really fudgy kind. That's what we're making today. So what are we going to need? For this recipe, we need salted butter, salt, cocoa of course because we're making brownies, vanilla, eggs, baking powder, sugar, and flour. That's all you're going to need. And then you're going to need an 8-inch pan, 8 by 8 or a similar size works. It could be a rectangle that comes out to a similar size, that will also work. You're going to need 2 bowls, one large and one medium or small, and measuring cups and measuring spoons. That is all you need. Very easy recipe. So let's get started. The first thing, as always, what we're always going to do is preheat our oven so it's all ready by the time we have everything mixed up. So we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. So 350 Fahrenheit. Start up my oven. Then what we're going to need to do is grease our pan. And you can grease it with butter, pan spray, or you can put a piece of parchment paper in here. So I'm just going to use some pan spray, make it easy. Make it really easy. So I'm just going to spray the bottom. Do not need to spray the sides, just the bottom. Okay, and then set that aside. Then what we're going to do is melt our butter. So we're going to need a half a cup of salted butter. So that is 1 stick of butter. So what you're going to do is you're going to microwave that for about 30 seconds to a minute in a microwave safe bowl. So I'm just going to use this measuring cup for that. "30 seconds to 1 minute. And you want to do that at the beginning of the recipe so it has time to cool down a little bit. You don't want it overly hot so that it cooks your eggs while you're making the recipe. That's what we're going to do the dry ingredients first, and we'll just set the butter aside. So for our dry ingredients, we're going to take our medium-sized bowl and we're going to add 1/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. So you might have something like this. The Hershey's Cocoa unsweetened. I transfer mine into a container so because I use a lot of it. So I have it right here. So we're going to do 1/3 cup, 1/3 on your measuring cup. And then you're going to level that off and add that to your bowl. Then what you're going to do is add your flour. So we need a half a cup of all-purpose white flour, so regular flour. You can also use gluten-free flour for this. Works great, interchangeable. I personally like the cup-for-cup flour. Works great for all my recipes. In most recipes I have, you can substitute that 1-for-1 for this, for my flour. So a half a cup of all-purpose flour. So I have it right here. So 1/2 on your measuring cup. You're going to spoon this in. Again, you don't want to scoop it out because that will pack down your flour and you'll get more than you want, which could result in denser brownies. You don't want that. So half a cup. Add that to your bowl. And then what we're going to add is our baking powder, and this will help our brownies rise a little bit. So we're going to do 1/4 teaspoon, 1/4 on your measuring spoon, and add that. And only one more dry ingredient. We're going to do 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So when I measure salt, I always measure it to the side of the bowl, over the sink, or over the trash. That way, in case it starts to come out really quickly, you don't end up with too much in your bowl. You never want to do that. You don't want too salty brownies. So I'm just going to measure it right here. Oops. A little more comes out. You can just clean that up after. That's what I'm going to do. Set that aside. And that are all our dry ingredients. Not very much. Again, we're not making a huge batch of brownies, but just enough for what we need. So I'm going to stir this up with a spatula, spoon, fork, what have you. Get that all mixed together. That way when we add it to the wet ingredients, every brownie gets a little bit of every ingredient. So I'm mixing this all up. And always go through your recipe, make sure you added everything you were supposed to add. So we were supposed to add cocoa powder, check, flour, baking powder, and salt. So we have that all in here. Then we're going to set this aside. And then we're going to do our wet ingredients. We have our butter cooling. That is our first ingredient we're going to add to our bowl. So it's, again, a half a cup of butter. I'm going to take my spatula, get all that goodness out of it. So half a cup of salted butter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add our sugar. So we need 1 cup of white granulated sugar. So regular sugar, not the powdery kind, the granulated kind. So 1 cup. So I have my sugar right here. And for this one, you can scoop it out if you want to. It will not pack down. Sugar doesn't pack down. Or you can scoop it in and level it off. Up to you. So 1 cup, add that right to your bowl. So far we have our half a cup of butter and our 1 cup of sugar. And you can start mixing that up. It's kind of have the consistency like an applesauce. I'll show you in just a sec. Just scrape the sides of the bowl, get that all mixed together. So that is what it looks like. It's just like an applesauce. So we have our butter and our sugar. Then we're going to add our 2 large eggs. And what you're going to want to do for your eggs, I usually do them into a separate bowl. That way, in case I get an eggshell in there, it's a lot easier to scoop it out of a side bowl instead of all my other ingredients, especially if the eggshell dropped to the bottom. So again, we need 2 eggs. So I'm just going to tap it on the counter. Tap, tap, tap. Pull it apart with my thumbs. And if you did get any eggshell in there, that is okay, happens to everyone. What you want to do is just use your finger, kind of slide it out of there, or use a spoon. Either does work. I personally do not use the eggshell. I know a lot of people do, but I don't want to be taking a dirty eggshell and scooping it into my egg. So that's why I don't do that. So that's 1, I'm going to add that. And now my second egg. Tap, tap, tap. And add that. And then you can mix that up a little bit. Kind of break the egg yolks a little bit, stir that all together. Don't want to over mix it, but we're just going to start mixing that a little bit. So just a little bit. Perfect. Then we're going to add our vanilla. That's our last ingredient. I'm going to do 1 teaspoon. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I use pure vanilla extract. The container may be a little smaller. So 1 teaspoon, and add that right to your mixture. If you spill a little extra in there, that is okay. Vanilla is one of those ingredients, it's never a bad thing if a little extra spills in there. A little extra flavor. And then mix that all together. So that is my mixture. Really easy to do. And then what we're going to do is add our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients. You could do it either way. You could do wet to dry or dry to wet, but since my bigger bowl is my wet, I'm going to add to that. And the reason that I do 2 different bowls is so that I don't overmix things. So I've done my mixing here, I've done my mixing here, and I'm just going to do a little mixing when I combine it all. That way, it kind of helps you not overmix things. So I'm just going to mix this together. And it will look like it's not going together. You just keep stirring, keep like folding over, scraping the sides, the bottom, and it will eventually come together, I promise. So see, you can start to see it peeking through. Just keep mixing. You do not need a mixer for this. This is all by hand. That way the whole family can do it. Really easy. And once you've made it a few times, it goes really quickly. As you can see how quickly it went this time, next time you make it even quicker. Okay, so just make sure you don't have any dry cocoa or anything in there. If you do, just kind of break that up. Scoop the bottom, make sure there's no dry pockets. And just try not to over mix it, but you do want it all combined. So that's what mine looks like. And the last step is just to add it to our baking dish. So I have my dish right here, and I'm just going to add that right to it. Scrape the bowl, get all of that goodness out of there. And then you're just going to smooth it out. So it's all nice and level. Go one way, then go the other way, horizontal and then the other way. So it's nice and spread out. So that is mine. And what we're going to do is it's going to be different baking times depending if you have a glass pan or a metal pan. If you are doing a glass pan, we're going to bake this for 25 minutes. If you are doing a metal pan, we're going to bake it for 20 minutes. And that's just because the pans bake differently. So for either pan, we're going to check to make sure it's done. So take it out and put a toothpick in it, a knife, or if you have a long metal cake tester, that works as well. And you're going to put it in. If it comes out with some moist crumbs, it is done. If it comes out dry with nothing on the tester, it is also done. If it comes out with wet batter, kind of like what we have right here, it needs more time. So put it in for 2 to 3 more minutes and then test it again. So I'm going to put mine in the oven, and since I have a glass pan, I'm going to do 25 minutes and then check it. So I'll show you how to do that. Once you've baked it once in your oven, you will know how long it takes. So my timer just went off, so I'm going to take mine out of the oven. And it looks good, but I'm going to double check it, just like I told you. So you're going to want to take a toothpick, a knife, or a cake tester like this, put it in the center. If it comes out clean like mine did, it is done. If it comes out with a few moist crumbs, it is also done. That works for this because we're making ooey gooey brownies. Next week we will be making homemade pizza. Great recipe, very few ingredients. You're going to be shocked at how good this pizza is based on the ingredients that we're going to be using. You can make either a pizza with it or a calzone. I'll show you both. Join me next week. Bye.